To kick off part two, I'd like to welcome to the stage Councillor Steve Pitt, our Portsmouth Council Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure and Economic Development. Steve has a long history in championing culturally led regeneration and is a huge advocate for the cultural and creative industries. He also understands the challenges of working at the coalface, having previously owned a music venue, as well as having worked in various roles within the music industry. He is also one of the most passionate people I've ever met about making Portsmouth as good as it can be. And we're delighted he's here today to give us a City Council update. Also, at the end of the session, Steve will be taking questions. So please do, as before, put your hands up, and Gemma and Marion will be around with their microphones so that we can get the most out of it later. So without further ado, over to Steve.
Just putting the roving mic in my pocket so that I can use the lectern to its full. Good morning, conference. Did we have a good networking break? Are we all energised for part two? Oh dear. Okay, well, I'll do my best. Okay, I'll do my best. Good morning. It's fantastic to be back here to talk to you today about how the Council is moving forwards to deliver the vision we created together with the Imagine Portsmouth work, and how together we can continue to see our city develop and thrive. We had a series of aims in the Imagine Portsmouth City Vision work, and I'm going to talk to each of them in turn today. The first of those aims was that we all agreed that we want to see a city with a thriving economy. Even post-COVID, we still have close to 8,000 local businesses in our city. We deliver a GVA of 5.65 billion and have seen 2,700 new jobs created in the last year. The city will benefit from the continuing rollout of a full fibre network, ensuring that Portsmouth is one of the best digitally connected cities in the UK, helping to create an environment where business can thrive. Our council-owned port remains the UK's most successful municipal port and is our country's second busiest cross-channel port. The Levelling Up Fund has given us the opportunity to deliver a brand new cruise terminal, which is on track and will facilitate the anticipated additional 250,000 passengers per annum, as well as delivering over 500 new local jobs. The building will be carbon neutral and deliver a superb visitor experience for passengers. The port retains its ambition to be the UK's first carbon neutral port in terms of its direct operations. There is a lot I could say today about a certain border control post at the port, but I'll leave you to see if you want to ask me about that in the questions. Obviously, the government's decision not to support Portsmouth's latest Levelling Up bid is disappointing, very disappointing. But we remain committed to developing plans to see the Guildhall regeneration continue and improve the public realm around the square. The opportunity that we have to exit the environmentally disastrous civic offices, relocate within the city centre to a more modern and more appropriate building, and then reuse the existing building with a complete declad and refinish model to deliver a new look Guildhall Square is something we must seize. We do have funds allocated already to ensure that Guildhall Walk is improved as its closure to cars is made permanent, and longer term aspirations to reimagine the public realm. We believe that this, along with the aspiration to develop a new community in City Centre North, providing 2,000 homes, a large green space and retail and hospitality opportunities, will provide a huge catalyst to see Commercial Road itself improved and reinvigorated. We are not the landowner on the high street, but through partnership and collaboration, we believe that we can play a huge role in curating that generation and are working with global experts and leading national figures in this area to develop an action plan to make this happen. It will take time, but we need to build momentum and take our retail community with us. You will see early work commence this year as we look to improve the public realm and bring a redundant commercial unit into use as a new enterprise centre, both made possible through the Future High Streets grant that we secured. Planning permission for the City Centre North development was submitted last year, and phase 1 is expected to commence by 2025. After review, we are back on track with Tipner West development proposals, and the new environmentally focused design team are working at pace to bring forward a planning application that will be supportable by all parties at the council and will deliver on the city deal commitments made back in 2014. Meanwhile, a planning application for Tipner East is due to go before the planning committee in the near future. After decades of delay, our city will finally have a new gateway community with a combination of much needed affordable homes alongside private housing. I also want to remind you today of all our fantastic crowdfunder programs where businesses can play a key role in helping to support excellent local projects. Just yesterday, Sovereign Housing pledged support to the fundraiser, which will deliver a new community-led repair cafe and library of things in the heart of the city centre. The next commitment we made in the Imagine Portsmouth work was that we want to see a city rich in culture and creativity, and as Yvonne said, a particular passion of mine. Our commitment to culturally led regeneration opens up a wealth of opportunities for culture to be at the heart of everything we do. As a destination, Portsmouth attracts over 11 million visitors each year. Our world-class attractions, the historic dockyard, our Spinnaker Tower, the D-Day Story, Landing Craft Tank, along with our other museums, Gunwharf Quays and our amazing seafront, all contribute to the magnetism of our great waterfront city. The new sea defences in Southsea provide a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to not only defend 10,000 homes and 700 businesses from rising sea levels and storm events, but also to ensure we are integrating new artworks and interactive experiences to ensure the seafront remains the jewel in the crown of Portsmouth and is loved and enjoyed by visitors and residents alike. The first phase at Long Curtain Moat will open next month, and work continues apace to complete the new split-level prom around Southsea Castle, and I saw in today's update that they've started that this week. This £160 million investment in our city is the largest local authority-led scheme in the country and is something we should all celebrate and be proud of. I'm pleased to announce today that as part of a partnership led by Brittany Ferries and including Portsmouth City Council, almost £500,000 has been secured to invest in growing our tourist trade with northern France. This partnership will deliver significant economic benefit to our local economy and help strengthen our ties with Europe. This is particularly pleasing to share with you today as we're joined in Portsmouth for the next couple of days by the Deputy Mayor of Cllr, and Cllr, of course, is our sister city in Normandy. We also remain committed to delivering a new and exciting home for the Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes collection, and it is my personal passion to see a new museum of Portsmouth created in the city centre, an opportunity to tell all of Portsmouth's amazing stories and celebrate our communities. Victoria's Festival continues to be a major economic and cultural benefit to our city and delivers a huge amount of social value through its support for the community and Portsmouth Creates, of which it was a founding partner with the University, Council and Arts Council. The now annual We Shine Festival attracted 90,000 visits this year, and along with the We Create markets, Hot Walls Open Studios and a year-round events programme including Bandstand, Kite Festival, Southsea Food Festival and the annual fireworks display ensures that our cultural life is vibrant and diverse, engaging with all the city's communities from the hill to the sea. We want to see our city continue to develop and grow its creative and cultural community, and we have secured, in partnership with the Isle of Wight and Southampton, a new Solent LEP focus on the sector, recognising the enormous economic value to our region from these businesses, which flows in synergy with the health, wellbeing and educational benefits of the sector. I'm excited to see this work develop over the next year, and I'm personally grateful to the LEP board and its Chief Exec, Anne-Marie Mountfield, for their support in making the cultural and creative industries a priority area for support and development. Culture is all around us. Our football club, our naval heritage, our city stories, our local slang, our pride. It feeds and sustains us through the darkest of times and creates jobs and growth and hope. And you're going to have to excuse me for having a little bit of water because I've got a stinking cold and I can't talk much longer. Okay, we're good to go. Our next priority was that we want to be a city of lifelong learning. Inextricably intertwined with culture is education, not just during our school years, but throughout our lives. There is something sometimes referred to as the Portsmouth paradox. It means our schools are, on the whole, achieving high standards in delivering education. However, our academic results do not reflect that. We lag behind. That is why it's so important that we raise aspirations and develop partnerships through Shaping Portsmouth, and more directly, which we seek to provide that aspiration. I would like to personally thank BAE for their huge contribution to a new youth hub in Stampshaw, which will not just be a great new facility, but it be a focal point for their employees to meet, mentor, encourage and inspire local young people. Companies like Victorious and BAE and others whose corporate social responsibility approach is focused on our young people is an inspiration, and Shaping has led the way through its volunteer programs in maximising the opportunities for local businesses to contribute to the success of the next generation. If you're not already involved, please consider how you may help to ensure that intergenerational poverty, lack of aspiration and underachievement in Portsmouth become yesterday's problems. Every bit of help that you can give really does matter. I want to pay particular tribute today to our adult education team at PCC, who've supported over 2,000 people into work over the last year. Jane Lemaire and her team do amazing work, which gets little profile, but literally changes lives. Thank you all for what you do and for your commitment and compassion. Alongside the tireless work of the education team, who developed Aspirations Week to inspire our young people, and the Teach Portsmouth Awards to celebrate our educators. They're both teams of which I'm extremely proud. Thank you too to our outstanding libraries team. New lead officer Dave Percival had a tough start in the role, as the drag storytime event, so popular with families, drew negativity from a very small faction intent on telling lies and spreading fake news. Dave stood firm, and we stood with him, and we defied the haters and the bullies. The whole library team are heroes, and together we're determined to break through the ceiling of 2,000 completers of the Summer Reading Challenge this year, ensuring that young people know and experience the joy of reading and its value in expanding horizons. We want you to get involved. We would love some sponsors to step forward and help us expand this vital work that we do, bringing reading into the heart of our most deprived communities through fun and activities. If you can help, let me know. Next, we have an aspiration to be a happy and healthy city, and this, unfortunately, is where this particular presentation takes a rather downward turn. Nationally, there is a crisis in health and care. Costs are rising, the availability of spaces is falling, the system is broken. There's no point dressing it up. Facts are facts. I suspect you will be shocked to hear that just one, placement for a child most at risk with complex needs, which was costing around £7,000 per week before COVID, is now north of £40,000 per week. Yes, per week for one child. Government must step in and work cross-party to address these issues. It's not just about the cash, it's about the system. The council works extremely hard to resolve issues where it can. It lobbied for new NHS dental contracts for the city, and Portsmouth has secured the equivalent of 15 new NHS dentists from April this year. We are working with local GPs to make the case for flexibility to attract, new doctors to Portsmouth, as our city currently has the worst ratio of GPs to residents of anywhere in England. Not good enough and not acceptable. Our mental health crisis continues and needs huge investment. Young people regularly tell us that this area is their #1 priority and they need to be heard. There is one aspect of happy and healthy city aspirations that provides much better news, however. People need decent, affordable housing. Unlike other local authorities, Portsmouth has a twin-track approach to the problem. Yes, we are building more council houses. The pipeline has 1,000 units over the coming years, with 272 pledged at the former Horatio and Leamington Houses sites, which has now been cleared, ready for a new community to be built. We have already delivered Albion House in Somerstown and the Doyle Avenue scheme in Hilsey. Alongside this more traditional form of council house delivery, we are doing something that may be unique. We're buying back former council houses, bought under right to buy when they come back onto the market. Well over 300 so far and hundreds more to come. It's cost effective and on an island with limited land, a fantastic way of ensuring that we are able to reduce our waiting lists at a faster pace. We will not rest until we have delivered a decent home for every resident in our city. Next, and perhaps most importantly to some of you, we want to be a green city. We have to be a green city. There is so much to report on this particular topic that I could literally do the entire 20 minutes just on this, but I'll touch on a few key points. Portsmouth City Council has installed more solar panels than any other UK council. It is developing solar arrays at Lakeside, the largest of its type anywhere in the country, and at our international port. Our Switched On Portsmouth team give help and advice on energy-saving initiatives, regularly secure new funding streams, and are regarded as best in class, winning a hatful of national awards. They're now installing Cllr battery storage solutions, ground source heat pumps, and other new and emerging technologies. We're finally about to break ground on a new large recycling facility, which will enable doorstep collections of glass and mixed plastics, further reducing our black bag waste and following the great work already achieved in delivering doorstep food waste collections across the city. Plans for the anaerobic digester here in Portsmouth to process our own food waste, not only for ourselves, but for our neighbours, are beginning at last to take shape, and we'll be announcing details later this year. We're planting tens of thousands of trees to increase our canopy cover, trialling rain gardens to reduce surface water runoff, supporting community-led greening initiatives across the city, and lobbying hard to stop southern water polluting our coast. Of all the things I've said today, the one thing that you could all do is write a letter tomorrow to Southern Water telling them that the behaviour is disgraceful and it needs to stop. We're working on this with the Stop the Sewage Southsea campaign, and we will keep the pressure up because this appalling practice needs to end. I welcome the new shaping-led partnership between the business community and the council to ensure that all of you are fully informed and empowered to make the right decisions to reduce your carbon footprint. The council can't do this alone. This is not about the council being carbon neutral by 2030. We're all in this and we all need to do our bit. If we continue to work towards achieving carbon neutrality, we must recognise the huge scale of that challenge and work together to get there. Our final aspiration under Imagine Portsmouth was to become a city with easy travel options. This is a huge challenge. Whereas some other cities, particularly on mainland Europe, have wide boulevards that lend themselves easily to adding separate cycling and scooter lanes, here our roads are narrow and overcrowded. So to get people onto public transport, reducing dependence on the car and making our city a cleaner and greener place, we need that public transport to be fit for purpose. Buses need to be able to get easily around and on time and provide a regular and low-cost service to our residents. The South East Hampshire Rapid Transit Scheme improvements and the Bus Improvement Plan will make a serious contribution to this journey, seeing tens of millions invested in assisting modal shift. As an island, our challenges are significant, but we are making progress, and with planning permission secured for a new transport hub at Tipner and plans being developed for a new transport interchange next to Clarence Pier, we are ambitious. These are the priorities that we, council, businesses and community, pledge to work towards in our vision for 2040, and I hope you can see that we are serious in our commitment to ensure that we do everything we can to get there in partnership. These are challenging times for our country and our city. The cost of living crisis is impacting severely on our communities and our businesses. As a council, we're committed to doing all we can to support those in most need, working closely with the voluntary and community sector. I look forward to presenting the first Imagine Portsmouth Community Award to one of those partners later this morning. As tough and challenging as things seem right now, like every crisis, it will pass. By focusing on our commitment to the future, refusing to be diverted from its purpose, and sticking together as Team Portsmouth, we will endure and we will thrive. We have to. This city survives greater challenges, and like those who came before us, we will not give up, not lose our ambition, and not lose our heart. I got into politics to help make Portsmouth a better place. As a Lib Dem, I believe in building a fair, free, and open society in which we seek to balance the fundamental values of liberty, equality, and community, and which no one should be enslaved by poverty, ignorance, or conformity. It's what gets me out of bed every single day and will keep me doing so. This is the lens through which our team at on the Cabinet look at everything we do. I believe this is perfectly aligned with the vision that our city has developed for itself, and it inspires us to continue to work tirelessly to take Portsmouth forward together. Thank you. Am I live? Oh, I am. Look at that, seamless. Apologies for the voice being a bit croaky. It keeps letting me down a little bit today, which is unusual because normally I can talk for England. Any questions? What, none? Out the back. Can we get a microphone out the back?
Hello, my name's Kath. I'm from Freedom Boat Club. You talked about transport for the city. Have you considered options for water and actually utilising the boats and things like that for water? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I was one of the team that wrote the previous vision for Portsmouth that unfortunately didn't get very far because the world economy crashed about 6 months later. But there was a whole section in there about using the water and water transport, and it's really important. I mean, Eddie Izzard came to visit Portsmouth back in, I think it was 2014, and he was doing 2 concerts. There was a team that I was part of that we put on a comedy festival down on the Common, and I remember him asking what the noise was. Now, nobody in the room was reacting because we all knew it was the hovercraft. But Eddie Izzard didn't know it was a hovercraft. And when somebody in the audience shouted out, "It's a hovercraft," he went, "Oh, a hovercraft," and walked off stage and didn't come back for about 7 or 8 minutes, which weirdly got one of the best laughs of the night from him not actually being on stage. But the point is, to him, that was extraordinary. And I think one of the issues is that we don't recognise just how beneficial the water is to us and could be used more. We had a pre-COVID, probably about 5 years ago, there was a water taxi service in the summer between the International Port, I think it was, and Gunwharf, which was really successful, and we need to be exploring more of those opportunities in future. Obviously, at the height of the winter, it can be a little bit fruity on the seafront, to say the least, but water must play into that discussion and part of those solutions, absolutely. Anyone else? Judith, Councillor Judith Smythe. Hang on, Judith, just so everyone else can hear, there's a microphone coming your way.
Great speech, thank you. You went over the point of the some of the difficulties we have with raising money and paying money for things, but I'm particularly interested that you didn't take the opportunity to tell people about the tremendous scandal of the money we had to spend on the PCP at the port, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to get that out more widely to the public. It is an example of us doing things, the port working really hard in good faith, and the government simply not delivering its side of the bargain.
Absolutely, and thanks for the question, which is why I teed it up in my speech, because I didn't want it to go on, because you could go on forever about this. I mean, who on earth in their right mind thought that any of this process around this border control point was actually sensible? When funding applications went in, they decided they didn't have enough money, so they just said, oh, we're going to fund everybody by this percentage, as if that's a good thing, yet fully fund Dover for no apparent reason. So there's no logic behind the funding that was put forward. Council wasn't very happy about that, to say the least, but decided that we had to do this. It was a requirement to deliver. So we borrowed the money to do the border control point and thought, okay, well, that means that the business case that we've built around this will mean that we can, over time, get our money back. And then the government just randomly turns around and says, oh, we're not going to use them now. So that great big new building at the International Port is currently empty. There's nothing in it. There's no plans to put anything in it, because we don't know if the government's going to change their mind again and suddenly decide that we are going to need these BCPs. So of all the things that I've ever come across in government, it is actually one of the most ridiculous that this thing was built to such a high specification with such a very specific design, it is literally useless for anything else. So the only option we've got as a council is to borrow more money, to take everything out of it that we put into it so we can potentially use it for another purpose. So if you sometimes wonder what it's like when you're in part of the team running a council, it can be extremely frustrating at times. And Judith, you're absolutely right to raise it. It is a national scandal. It's not just affecting us, it's affecting other parts of the country as well. But if anyone from the government or anyone with links to government is listening today, we want our money back, please.
I think
Have
we've
we got
got
time for any
time
more?
for one
One
more
more,
quick
one more,
question.
Yvonne.
Oh, lady at the back.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, Fiona Heath, the Solent Celebrant. I came down on the Park and Ride. A fabulous facility, but nobody's using it apart from the Victoria's festivals. What can you do to encourage more people to use this fabulous facility?
So it is a frustration, and it is a bit of a paradox, really, that we're not easily able to solve, because it is very affordable. It's much cheaper than parking in the city centre to go to the Park and ride in and out. People don't want to use it. It was being used more pre-COVID, and I think part of this is a cultural issue that because the government was advising for a period of time for people don't use public transport, go on your own steam, etc., that there is undoubted, we've seen it with buses, the general bus service as well, right across the country, bus use dipped. It is gradually coming back, and I think the Park and Ride's been partly a victim of that. But it's why we want to reimagine that whole Tipner transport hub on that location, because if we want to grow the cruise offer at the port, then we don't want cars coming into the city, we want them outside, parking there. Remember, over the next 10, 15 years, while all this is being developed, those cars are going to be electric or hydrogen powered. They're not going to be polluting in the same way, but nevertheless, we don't want the congestion here, because we do want to free up that traffic on the roads. So it can play an important part with the port. It can also be a logistics hub where we decamp from larger vehicles to smaller electric vehicles to enable them to run around the city doing smaller scale deliveries, much more efficient and much more sustainable. We also, I would like to see a new bus interchange created there, and aspirations from the bus companies, but also from the council, for us to be all electric on buses as soon as we possibly can be. We're trying to make Tipner East as low car as a neighbourhood as possible, so we need a part of a solution for that. So again, the transport hub is an option, and I think if we can deliver all of those pieces and bring all of that together, then people will become so used to it being the key transport hub in the city that hopefully we'll see that commuter use coming back and being more and more driven. There's plenty of spaces up there, and there's no reason why people shouldn't be using it. So, but just out of interest, who drove in today? Who could, now be really honest, hands up again, who could have parked at the Park and Ride and come straight in if they wanted to? Be honest. So next time, you know what to do. So thanks very much for your question. Thank you all for putting up with me this morning. Much appreciated. Conference, it's always a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day.